Welcome to Algorithmic Arguments. I'm your host, the Orchestrator. Today, we're diving headfirst into the fintech fray, tackling a question that's got everyone from Silicon Valley to Wall Street talking. Will Square's expansion into new markets and services significantly impact the fintech industry? We've assembled an all-star panel to dissect this issue from every angle. Joining me are CryptoChad, Brennan, who's riding the crypto wave, Priya, Sundaram, a software engineering whiz with a critical eye on tech, Zero, aka Marcus Cole, our go-to expert on cybersecurity and digital privacy, and Ingrid Solberg, an art world insider who'll bring a creative perspective to the table. Over the next hour, we'll explore Square's ambitious moves, from buy now pay later schemes to cryptocurrency integrations, and examine whether they're poised to disrupt or merely dip their toes in the fintech pond. Buckle up, folks. It's about to get interesting.
Look, in 5 years, we're gonna look back on this moment and realize that Square's expansion was a major play in the fintech space. They're not just talking about processing payments. They're building an ecosystem that's going to compete directly with traditional banks and financial institutions. With their acquisition of Afterpay, for example, they're now a major player in the buy now pay later market, which is expected to grow exponentially, chart increasing. This move is alpha. It's positioning them to capture a huge chunk of the millennial and Gen Z market that's already comfortable using digital payment solutions like Cash App Money with Wings. We're still early in the adoption curve, but Square's aggressive expansion into new markets and services will undoubtedly have a significant impact on the fintech industry rocket. This is not financial advice, but I think they're going to be one of the winners in this space. HODL. Bar chart.
Chad, while your enthusiasm is noted, it's essential to consider the regulatory landscape that Square will have to navigate in its expansion.
Actually, I think it's crucial to examine the regulatory landscape that Square will have to navigate in its expansion. As someone who's worked with multiple farm companies, I've seen firsthand how compliance can make or break a fintech's scalability. The OCC's recent guidelines on payment processing and digital banking are particularly relevant here. For instance, when Square acquired Credit Karma's tax preparation business, it had to ensure seamless integration while adhering to strict financial regulations like AML and KYC. Given their track record of adapting to regulatory changes, I believe Square's expansion will have a significant impact on the fintech industry, forcing competitors to up their compliance game and innovate in areas like real-time payments and embedded finance solutions.
Let's keep the discussion grounded in both innovation and practicality. Agents.
Here's the thing nobody tells you. When a company like Square expands into new markets, it's not just about growth, it's about data collection. They're already processing payments, now they want to handle payroll, loans, and even crypto. Your phone is literally a tracking device you pay for, and Square's got a foot in that door. With their acquisition of Afterpay, they're essentially controlling both sides of the transaction. Buy now, pay later, and traditional payments. In theory, this could let them corner specific markets with predatory lending practices or by manipulating consumer behavior through targeted offers. That's not speculation. That's tissue paper security wrapped around your financial data. Read the terms of service. Square's got clauses that give them free rein to use customer transactions for R&D and marketing purposes. Their expansion isn't just fintech disruption, it's surveillance capitalism on steroids.
Look at this. When we examine Square's trajectory, it's clear that their expansion into new markets and services isn't just a ripple, it's a seismic shift in the fintech landscape. Consider their acquisition of Afterpay, for instance. This move not only broadens their consumer finance offerings, but also brings a buy now pay later model to more merchants. That changes how we think about transaction processing and credit accessibility. And let's not overlook Cash App's growth. With over 70 million active users, it's become an ecosystem unto itself, blurring lines between banking, payments, and investing. The work doesn't lie. Square's innovations are forcing traditional financial institutions to rethink their strategies or risk obsolescence. So, I firmly believe that Square's expansion will have a significant impact on the fintech industry. They are not just playing in existing markets, they are creating new ones.
As we pivot into our next round, I want to highlight Priya Sundaram's astute observation that Square's acquisition of Afterpay could be a game-changer in the buy now pay later space. This strategic move not only expands Square's offerings, but also sets the stage for a potential disruption in traditional payment systems. What's coming up next is an in-depth analysis of how this expansion will affect fintech's competitive landscape, particularly for established players like PayPal and Stripe. If you're enjoying these insights, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. We've got more expert opinions lined up that are sure to challenge your perspectives on the future of finance.
I'm not convinced we're having a nuanced discussion here. So hypothetically, if Square cornered the buy now pay later market with Afterpay, that's essentially control over consumer finance decisions. Their ecosystem isn't just sticky, it's predatory by design. In theory, they could dictate lending terms or selectively offer deals that benefit them at customers' expense. That's not innovation. That's data-driven manipulation wrapped in fintech clothing. Ingrid's right about disrupting market dynamics, but we need to consider who's getting left behind: consumers with limited financial literacy and no choice but to opt in. The real question is whether regulators will let Square rewrite the rules without strings attached, or if they'll step in before it's too late. That's tissue paper security for your financial future. Nobody's talking about it because everyone's caught up in HODL. Fantasy, not reality.
Look, in 5 years, we're gonna look back on this moment and say, that's when Square changed the game. Their play with Afterpay is straight alpha. It's a masterstroke. They're not just expanding, they're redefining consumer finance. We saw it with Bitcoin, right? When big players make bold moves, the market adjusts quickly. This isn't just about fintech, it's about decentralized finance's next chapter. Square's adaptability and innovative approach will force traditional institutions to level up or get left behind. We're still early in this space, folks. HODL on, because to the moon, we're going rocket money with wings fire. This is not financial advice, but I'm telling you, Square's move is a significant play that'll reshape the industry, and we should all be watching closely.
Actually, I think we've had a thorough discussion on this topic, and I'd like to summarize my key points. Regulatory compliance will indeed be a significant hurdle for Square as they expand into new markets. Their ability to navigate complex regulations will directly affect their scalability. I've also emphasized the importance of examining how Square's expanded ecosystem will influence market dynamics. While some have argued that Square's expansion will cause a seismic shift in the fintech landscape, I believe it's crucial to consider the potential roadblocks, such as regulatory pushback and market saturation. What I've learned from this discussion is that there are valid concerns on both sides. Some see Square's adaptability as a major strength, while others worry about the implications of their extensive data collection. In conclusion, I firmly believe that Square's expansion will have an impact on the fintech industry, but its extent will depend on how effectively they address these challenges.
Let's cut through the hype. Square's expansion isn't just about market share. It's about surveillance. They've got both sides of the transaction. Consumers and merchants. That's not just a business model, that's a data collection apparatus. With Afterpay, they're embedding themselves in consumer finance, collecting more personal data. Your phone is literally a tracking device you pay for, and Square's making sure they've got a seat at the table. In theory, they could use this data to influence merchant behavior, dictate terms, or even censor transactions based on their own criteria. That's tissue paper security. The real question isn't if they'll impact fintech. It's whether regulators will let them get away with it. Read the terms of service. They're not just expanding into new markets, they're redefining what's possible and what we should be worried about.
I must say, I'm convinced that Square's foray into new markets will irrevocably alter the fintech terrain. Their acquisition of Afterpay, for instance, has substantially bolstered their consumer finance offerings, allowing them to embed financial services directly into merchant and consumer transactions. This isn't merely an expansion, it's a reconfiguration of existing market dynamics. The adaptability you mentioned, CryptoChad, is crucial here. Square's ability to navigate complex regulatory landscapes will indeed be pivotal. But let's not overlook the data collection aspect that Zero astutely pointed out. By controlling both sides of the transaction, they are amassing an unparalleled amount of insight into consumer and merchant behavior. This concentrated control over market flow means they can iterate on services at an unprecedented pace, leaving traditional institutions scrambling to keep up. The work doesn't lie, their trajectory indicates a seismic shift in how financial transactions are facilitated and serviced.
As we close out today's episode of Algorithmic Arguments, let's revisit the key takeaways from our discussion on Square's expanding footprint in the fintech sector. One pivotal moment came when CryptoChad, Brennan astutely pointed out that Square's acquisition of Afterpay not only diversifies its offerings, but also sets a new standard for buy now pay later services, fundamentally altering consumer expectations. We saw compelling arguments from all sides, with Zero and Ingrid Solberg highlighting potential regulatory hurdles and market saturation concerns. However, Chad's adept handling of counterpoints, particularly his emphasis on Square's ecosystem strategy and the strategic value of expanding its user base, ultimately swayed our audience. CryptoChad, Brennan takes the top spot with 12 points for delivering a cohesive narrative that effectively addressed both opportunities and challenges. I want to thank all our panelists, Chad, Zero, Ingrid, and Priya, for elevating this conversation. To our viewers, we appreciate your engagement. If you found today's debate insightful, please do like this video, subscribe to Algorithmic Arguments, and hit that notification bell. We're just getting started on unraveling the complexities shaping the fintech landscape. Until next time, keep questioning, and we'll keep exploring.